Okay, okay. Okay, so
Yeah.
There she is.
there we go. So you guys, instead of me starting it out and starting to, talk about what this is and all, did any of you write in your journal about what this insight meant in your life?
No, I
don't. Okay. How did you guys connect with this today, with this insight?
This is Veronica. I'll say that when I read it, I was pretty excited because being certain of things is a definite goal, and being uncertain is a big irritation. So
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, as far as being uncertain, it would be real frustrating for me. But at the same time, is there such thing as certainty anyway? I mean, when you follow guidance, when guidance comes through, you get the dream or you get the inspiration, the thought, that idea, that person said that thing, whatever it happens to be. You get that guidance and you know that was guidance. You just know it. But it may not be convenient, or you may think, well, what does that mean? You don't even know how to decipher what it means.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always go back to the journal. The journal is the key, because if you don't write it down in your journal, you've got no place to start. And by the time you try to remember what that was and decipher it again sometime later, you forgot what it was, or you forgot the details in it. And you know what? When with guidance and with dreams, it's all in the details. Writing down the details of that dream, writing down the details of that guidance. That's why how it made you feel, that's a detail. It's not necessarily what came through, but it's a detail. It's about how you felt, and that's a big clue about what that was telling you. So it's like anything. The minute something happens, you may not catch it the first time, but you catch it the second time or the third time. And that's where this catches it for you. And then you don't have to worry about losing it. You look at it later and it's like looking in your treasure chest. It's like, yeah, I see this now. I never got it in the moment that I wrote it down, So, and even when you write it down and you look back at it and you get the guidance and you see what it was, it still doesn't mean it's going to be a comfortable thing to move into, because you guys are not used to it. You're not used to, I call it like free falling. I call it like that leaf that falls and it just kind of drifts down, and you just kind of, it's a trusting thing. It's a thing where, okay, I'm just going in there. I'm going to do this. I haven't done it before, not consciously. So I'm just going to jump in there. I'm going to act on the guidance. Maybe I'll be a little rough around the edges in the beginning. Maybe I won't be so eloquent about the way I communicate what it is I'm going to say. But I'm going to start at the risk of not being perfect, okay? Mm-hmm. So you guys want to get over and that's, perfection's all based in judgment. You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do we find out how we're doing on that scale? Well, we look at how we might be judging others. If we're at any point, if we're judging somebody else, I'm not talking about discernment. Discernment is looking at something for what it is and seeing it for what it is or who it is, okay? That's not judgment. Discernment is something we all need to be doing all the time. But judgment is just, being, it's not having it's having some kind of emotional investment in seeing somebody a certain way so we feel better about ourselves. All right? So that's not discernment, that's judgment. And when we catch ourselves doing that, you know how you're going to stop doing that? You're going to tell on yourself. You're going to write it in here in part 3 about, that junk. I'll call it junk. It's just junk, okay? And there may not be that much junk left, but for whatever junk's left, all it does is it cuts you off from your guidance. So the cleaner we can clean up this junk, whatever's left of it. And then when we get guidance, we're clear when it comes through. We're discerning, we're not gullible, but we're open. And then we know that we're clear enough, and then we write it down in the journal, and we're clear enough to go, you know, I'm going to, like they said in here in this session, do something, anything, but step into it in some form right now, okay? Put your toe in the water, but do put your toe in the water. Don't just sit back on the guidance and go, yeah, you know, I'll think about it. Because when you get guidance, it's not negotiable, right? It's guidance. It is what it is. So, you guys, your response.
Don't be bashful. I got some.
You can hear
ideas.
me. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're not getting a response, so we're just trying to get you guys to, you know.
You've stunned them. You stunned them.
Is that what I did?
Yeah.
Is that what I did, you guys?
Well, I have a response, I guess.
Okay.
Good.
Today I got an uncomfortable guidance. It was just no big deal, and I wasn't certain that I got it right. But what I felt or got that they guided me was to go play golf. And play golf. And because of a past experience, I don't really like playing golf. So I really questioned it and stuff like that. But I drove over to 2 different golf courses and got some information. So I took a small action, but I still don't think that was real guidance.
Okay. Now, so it may not be that you don't like to play golf, right, Veronica?
Right.
Okay. It might be somebody you were going to meet when you went there. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's not necessarily just the way we think black and white in this world.
Yeah.
Is what really happens, right? So let's have the guides tell you what was going. This was today, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what they have to tell you. Your guides have to tell you about that. And here they go.
Great.
What you discovered was that the uncertainty was partially observable.
So why did you take her on this journey today?
There's uncertainty in just about everything you do. It's thinking too much about the uncertainty that's harmful. You must learn to get comfortable with uncertainty.
Okay, here's what it's like. I'm going to just remind you of something, Veronica.
Okay.
When you were a little kid, if something came up, you know, like that, or something that related to you as a little kid came up that was, you didn't understand it, you would have thought nothing of it. You would have went that way.
Mm-hmm.
You just would have. I mean, what else do you have to do?
Yeah.
You would have gone that way. You wouldn't have thought about, you know, well, I don't like to play golf, or
right.
I don't like that kind of candy, or I don't like, it would have never fazed you. You would have gone, well, I wonder what's there, you know? Your curiosity would have consumed you.
Yeah.
And you would have been off on your yellow brick road just jamming along, you know, to go find what that was, you know. Is this magic? What your head is filled with possibilities as a kid.
Yeah.
So what you need to do, you guys, with this uncertainty, in order to adapt to this, to dial into it, all right, to really get the juice out of this, is you need to go back to that little kid. You need to go, okay, I'm in. I don't know what the heck it is, and yeah, maybe I'm not that crazy about golf, but I'm going to stay open and aware. So when I walk through that front door of that resort, or, you know, that lobby, I'm going to be aware. I don't know why the heck I'm there, but I'm going to be aware. And I'm just going, and even if I don't notice anything, even if it doesn't look obvious to me, I'm going to write it in my journal. I'm going to write down what I did, the guidance I got, the action I took. I'm going to write it all down, and then I'm just going to move on with my day. I'm not going to expect a result every single time, because it may not be in that moment, okay? It may be like the dots. It may just be one little stepping stone to get you where they're guiding you to go, okay? It may not be the be-all, end-all in that one thing, right? I can tell you that throughout my life, if I hadn't moved on that guidance over there 5 years ago, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now today. Okay, it wasn't the be-all, end-all in that one thing that happened 5 years ago I was guided to do, or the many things I've been guided to do along the way, but it's taking you on your journey to where it is that you intended to go before you got here. This is what you planned to accomplish before you got here. You don't remember it, all right? So your guides remember it, but you have free will and they can't tell you what to do. You just have to learn to trust yourself, okay? And take this journey and don't look for a result every single time. Just take the journey, all right? Record it in your journal. Write it down. Breathe. Enjoy the ride. Stay aware, all right? That's how this is done. You know, I want to share this one thing with you guys because it kept popping into my head about 5 minutes before we started tonight. And it has to do with Indians, okay? The Indians, what was their guidance? How did they act on their guidance? And how did they get their information? They didn't have internet. They didn't have newspapers. They didn't talk to people in other countries. They didn't have access to communication like we do today. So how did they do it?
Telepathic.
Right. They listened to their guidance, all right? And they would literally, you talk about inconvenient, they would literally, if they seen that the weather was going to change and their crops were no longer going to be able to be, you know, reliable, and the water source was going to dry up and whatever was going to happen, that they could no longer stay there where they were. And yet they spent maybe 5 years, you know, building some infrastructure, making it easier to get water to their camp, and building their tents, and their families they understood how to hunt the area, and hunting was easier for them because they knew what to do and when to do it. It got comfortable, right? Comfortable. And then all of a sudden, the dreamers were real powerful and important and revered in those cultures. And they tell them, you know, this is what's happening. This is the guidance I got, and we need to fold up our tents and get out of here. And they would. Now you talk about inconvenient, right? Mm-hmm. Something happened up there. I don't even know what to say about that. But that's guidance. That's uncertainty, totally, okay? But they got comfortable with uncertainty because their lives depended on it, the lives of their tribes, you know? So if we go back to that and look at it from that angle, their intuition was very sharp, and their ability to take action was not something they argued with.
It wasn't an option.
It wasn't an option. It really wasn't. So if you look at it that way, you kind of look at our lives today, we're kind of spoiled, and we've gotten too comfortable in this, in the sense that that's why we don't act on the guidance. Well, you know, we've got more time. Well, you know, I'll do it later. You know, I want to sleep. I want to go take a nap, or you know, you know, we have enough food. We don't have to worry about those kind of things. So we don't feel the urgency, but it doesn't mean the urgency isn't there, because that's why we're all here. We know that not listening to this guidance and, you know, acting on it, it's really acting on it and getting used to acting on it, becoming accustomed to acting on it, and watch the surprises. Watch the amazing things, the way that your life starts to take a turn for the better in ways that you never would have dreamed of, because we're used to being in control. We're not used to being open to outcomes, you know?
I have an example going back to Veronica's golf example.
Yeah.
All right, can't uncertainty be the result of ignorance of a situation? Okay? for instance, I've never played golf in my life. Well, once, but if a bunch of people came to me and said, let's go play golf this weekend, I think, I don't have any concept of the playing golf. I'm ignorant of that situation. Okay? So I would have a lot of uncertainty about going. Just like a little kid. A little kid says, eat your asparagus. No, I don't like asparagus. Well, how do you know you don't like asparagus? Well, I just know I wouldn't like it. You've never tried it.
Right. So you get comfortable. You get in your comfort zone.
With uncertainty. You kind of relish in the uncertainty. Well, you can find all kinds of excuses and mistakes of why you shouldn't do that.
Okay.
And stay in the uncertainty.
So you can find excuses for not acting on it, on the guidance that came through.
Right.
So basically what we do is we argue with it. The guidance comes through, and the way that we stay in uncertainty is we argue with it. We go, no, not right now. Nah, I don't think so. Nah, that doesn't make any sense. Nah, I can't be bothered with that. Oh, that's going to cost too much money. Nah, we argue with it. Okay, but guidance doesn't care if you argue with it. The guides don't care. They watch you spin around in, like this, and they've watched you do it many times. And they're just going, well, there they go again. There they go again. They just forgot. They're so numb with amnesia. That's it. And being comfortable, being in our comfort zone, you guys, it's become, man, that has become such a hang up,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like, when I was living in Sedona, I'm going to say it was 2001, and I talk about it in Guided, but in 2001, the same week as 9/11, I put my condo up on the market, and I sold it like within 7 days of the time I put it up. And I was told by my guides, I sold another property for a friend of mine a couple months before, and while I had this thing going, it was in escrow and it was going ahead, the guides come through and they tell me, your place is next. And I went, what? I'm real comfortable in my place. I mean, I had this all worked out, could really afford it easily, not a problem. And now it's time for me to pull up my pins and move on. Okay?
You know why? It wasn't big enough for both of us.
So it was, it hit me. I went, whoa. It's sometimes it feels like vertigo. You just feel like, wow, what was, and you want to kind of forget it came through because it's going to really upset your apple cart, But I thought about it. I knew it hit me, and it wasn't something that I don't do these things by thinking about them. I let them settle in. I just go, okay, wow, that's a big one. All right. But okay, go ahead. Let's see how this, let me see how this feels. Feels, you see that feeling thing? Let me see how this feels. And you just let it come to you. Let it come to you. Just let it sleep on it. Let it keep coming to you. And pretty soon, I personally just went, okay, I need to watch the person I just sold the property for. She was moving back to Germany. And I said, I need to watch her. I need to listen to everything she's saying. Because she's like my mentor right now, even though she doesn't know she is. Because she wouldn't understand it if I told her that. But it's her, me selling her house, that bam, this came through for me. Out of the blue sky, I did not see it coming. And all the things she said, all the things she did, all the things, the reasons why, and all the little things, the feelings that she had, right? I was really paying attention to it, and then I started putting it together. I started seeing under the hood what was really happening here. She never even knew I put my house on the market. She never even knew this guidance came to me. Why bother? Why even bring it up, right? But I moved on it, and I sold my house in a week, The week of 9/11. What?
Everybody was distracted.
That was the strangest part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gone by Halloween. My place closed on October 31st
Wow.
of 2001. And here's what I did. I said, I do not intend to come back to Sedona ever again. I'm leaving. I'm pulling all of of everything up. I sold, I had another property that I sold. I sold all kinds. I just pulled up all my, roots, and off I went, and I didn't even know. I said, I'm going to go up to Colorado, then I'm going to go over to Montana, and then from there, I don't know where I'm going. When I say free fall, I meant it. And I did. I didn't know where I was going next. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just went, okay? And I had a blast. I had a lot of fun. And I met some interesting people along the way. And I found myself in Sun Valley, Idaho, with, where I could ice skate, because that's what I love to do. And while I was working on my project, okay? And then another thing led to drew me back to Arizona. I met someone I knew before, drew me back to Sedona. I meet Ray like 5 months later. Crazy.
There you go. Came full circle.
I had and I mean, we didn't stay in Sedona, but that whole thing that went on, and in that whole thing, my family thing, worked itself out where I realized that was just really over, and all kinds of things. But I had to let go. I had to let go of my comfort zone, the way I was living. I was very comfortable the way I lived, all right? And I had to let it all go and just, go sailing. And that's what I did. And I figured it out, and I knew. I met somebody before Ray. He was a doctor, a really rich doctor. Oh, man, he wanted to, be with me and go there. And I said, that's when I really realized, when I went out with him just a few times, I realized I can't be with you. I can't be with you just because you have money and just because you could make my life easy. I can't do that. I've got to do this project. I've got to see this through. I mean, that's when I realized that this is it for me. This is what I'm going to be doing, and I can't avoid it, So part of it was, bringing up roots, and the other part, and they've told Ray and I this, is they've told us to create our life, let go of our stuff, sell it, get rid of it, be light on our feet, and be mobile. They've told us that from the beginning, right, Ray? To be mobile.
That's it.
Okay, so it started moving me out of my comfort zone, and believe me, I was comfortable, and it moved me out of it, and they knew it would take me a while to really, really let go of that need to like nest or, have my house and all this kind of stuff. So they knew it was going to be a bit of an effort for me to actually do that the way they needed me to do that. And then for Ray to do that, and for us collectively to do that, and then we'd be on our way. So that's just a little example of radical
uncertainty.
Absolutely. And you know what, you guys? I want you to know, we're still uncertain.
Right.
We're still uncertain, but we're okay with that. Because every day, our dreams, every day we know where we're going, okay? Because we've got that, we're in the groove. We got what that is. We move with it. We don't resist it. We go with it. We don't fight it. We see something come up. We've had things come up in the last month that are freaking mind-blowing, okay? And you know what we do? We just go, sail.
Guidance.
We just move it this way, and off we go. We don't even, Ray has gotten to be a superstar at not going, whoa, we can't do that. He doesn't do that anymore.
I don't like asparagus. I know I wouldn't like it. Well, this whole uncertainty thing, there's all kinds of things that are like uncertainty or contribute to uncertainty. First of all, uncertainty is the doubt. That's the uncertainty, is doubt.
Yes, it is.
But why are you doubting? You're doubting the future because it's unpredictable.
Right.
It's
not something you planned.
It's unreliable.
It's not something you planned.
You can't rely on a lot of people or a lot of things to work out the way you want them. It's risky. You're vulnerable.
Okay, and Veronica, your golfing thing today
Yeah.
is a tiny little thing now. Do you see that?
Yes, yes.
Jeez. I mean, what I did was insanity, okay? But
Yeah.
but I'm okay with that. I mean, I've learned a long time ago. The only thing that ever messed me up is when I resisted the guidance. And
Yeah.
here's what it is. It's something like they have to get your feet out of the concrete first and start moving, okay, your energy, so they
Yeah.
can just get you moving, okay, and get comfortable with uncertainty. And that's where the certainty will show up. Okay?
Yeah, totally
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. So it's just they've got to get you, yanked out of your comfort zone, and then you've got to get kind of used to that. You've got to get your sea legs underneath you. You've got to start moving with that and having fun with that. Actually, enjoying that, remembering how it felt not to be so committed and stuck and fixed. And that my way is the only way, and it's not true, So the guides, they always see what you can't, and they move you that way, but they know that how stubborn we can be, Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about learning to flex those muscles and get used to being, open and not worry so much, and just go with it, and start learning to go with it. You're not, the minute you go with it doesn't mean you're going to find it, okay? You've got to start moving that way. You've got to start moving your energy so that you can begin to be even ready when it shows up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they were to lay it on you like that, and you're still going, oh my God, I can't, all the reasons you can't, that's what you'd be doing. You'd miss it.
Yeah.
So they got to get you to let go first and get used to how that feels to let go before they can give it to you.
And they never tell you how it's going to end up
No,
ahead of time.
no.
You'd be more certain.
You would be more certain. That's
Right.
right. But see, this is about trusting yourself as much as it is trusting the guidance. In letting go and trusting this whole process and moving with it instead of resisting it and fighting it, you learn to trust yourself and actually like yourself better. I'll tell you something else. Most people are stuck, and they just can't bring themselves to trust that much, all right? Themselves or the guidance or both. And this is where illnesses start. When we're little kids, we don't get sick. We're free flowing. We don't fight guidance. We go with it. That's what our whole life is really built on. Is just, let's go try that. Let's experiment with this. Let's do that. Oh yeah, I'll be there. I mean, everything's a yes. But when we get older, we start going, and we start to, get stiff and stuck, and our energy starts to get blocked, and it's energy blockages that cause illnesses. And that's another reason why you can't breathe. You do everything that works against your health.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons why.
You think you're going to get hurt. See, as a little kid,
You don't think about
you want to
that.
go climbing that tree there, you don't think about falling out of it and getting hurt. But as an adult, when you're faced with uncertainty, the first thing that flashes in your mind, well, what if I get hurt? What if that hurts me? What if that relationship hurts me? Again. I climbed that tree one time and I fell out.
Well, that's a person that's what happens, and that's a person who has never learned to know who they are. Okay, so what if you get hurt? And if you feel like you're really going to get hurt, if the feeling hits you like, oh, don't climb that tree because you will get hurt, that's guidance. Don't do that. You just have to learn how to work with this. Again, it's through writing in your journal that you're going to learn how to master this, you guys. This is how you're going to do it. You've got to write it down, because it brings you into consciousness. You become conscious when you start taking the time to write down what that was. And that thing with your golf thing today, Veronica.
Yeah.
Write it down. And then write down what came through tonight about what the rest of this, and that this is another brick on your yellow brick road. This is another stepping stone as you go across the creek that you step on the stone and the stone, and you eventually you get across the creek, and you look back and go, I did pretty good. That's good. Okay, I'm on my way. I'm on my journey. This is my journey I'm on, and I'm not afraid anymore. I know I can do that. So each thing builds. I can do that. I'm okay. I didn't die. I'm smarter. I feel better. I can breathe now. All these things start to work. And that's where as we get older, we really get in the way of our flow. As little kids, that's why my guided journey, taking you back to the beginning and taking you through your early life, it's also designed to wake you back up and let you remind you of who it is you really are, so that you can begin to open up to that again. Because, as we became adults, we just shut it down. And that's uncertainty. People have so much uncertainty. It's ridiculous. Not the good kind of uncertainty. The kind of uncertainty I'm talking about is a healthy amount of uncertainty. This whole life is filled with uncertainty. Get used to it, right? Right?
Yeah.
You may as well just get in there, roll your sleeves up, and say, okay, let's do this. Why am I here? I'm okay with that. And I'm going to bump into some surprises, some things I never would have encountered ever, that I would have missed if I didn't walk that way. If I didn't take this step to take me to that step, bam, to get me where you find yourself, and you go, this is great. I love this. Mm-hmm. And you find a freedom inside of you, you guys. I can say this, that when I pulled up my roots in Sedona when I left, I felt so free. It was like, I felt, it was like I was renewed again, okay? Because I had spent so much time in real estate and owning businesses and being so ultra responsible and all, that, I really needed to lighten up, and get my balance back. That's what that was all about. And I never could have had what I have now had I not taken those steps then,
So there has to be a balance of uncertainty in any situation. It's the uncertainty. For instance, if there wasn't any uncertainty, the insurance industry wouldn't need actuaries to try to figure out what will happen if this happens.
What's the odds?
What are the odds?
Right.
Sciences, physics. About the only thing it's not is mathematics. But you look at astronomy or you look at economics. It all thrives on uncertainty.
It does. Yeah.
That's what keeps it going.
Yeah. Well, that's also what keeps people in control, is to make people feel out of control because there is no certainty. All right. They feel so uncertain, or they drive people into a certain area where they're trying to make you feel real certain about, you have to, for you to be secure in your life, you have to own your home. Okay. Let's just use that as an example. Well, you go through all this trouble, you finally own your home, you sacrificed everything to do this. You worked really hard, you saved all your money, you canceled all those vacations, you worked really hard to do that. And now you finally own your home, and you're going to retire, and you only have so much money now because you're not working or not making that much money anymore, all right? So even though you own your home, now you got to fix all this stuff. Okay, well, no one ever told me about that. And the utility bills are now more than when you used to make a house payment. They're more than the house payment used to be. Oh my God, I can't even afford this house. What was I thinking? You gave up all these things in your life for 25 years or something to have certainty. There's no such thing, you guys. There is no such thing as certainty. So that's why I say get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's uncertainty, but in a healthy way. All right? How do you guys deal with uncertainty in your lives?
Anne, I see you smiling there, Anne. We can't hear you.
Is her?
Oh, is your microphone on? Nope.
Oh, just go like this. Where you can't hear her. Oh, her mic's not on.
Unmute. There we go. You're unmuted from this end.
Okay.
Nope. Nina.
Look.
Everything in my life is uncertain anymore. So just accept that it's the norm.
Now, is this Nina?
Nina, yeah. Why do you want it to be the norm?
I accept uncertainty as the norm.
Yeah.
I know you do. Yeah. But how is that uncertainty serving you?
How is it serving me? That's what I would.
That's why she's here tonight.
You know, Nina, everybody's journey is unique to them, right? So have you been writing in your journal? You have. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. It really is. You're going to discover what uncertainty has not been serving you, because all you've had is uncertainty. You haven't had any reasons why. You haven't had any feelings about how could this be serving me or not. If this is not serving me, then I need to cut my losses and move on, you know? And that might even be more uncertainty for a while you're working that out. But the way you're going to find out what it is without struggle and suffering is to start tracking your steps, writing it down. You've got to write it down. This is your insurance plan right here. This will keep you, this is your lifeline, is what I want to call this, because you guys keep writing down what's going on. Okay, what's going on? Because I will tell you, for a while, you won't be able to see it. You just won't be able to see it as you keep writing it down. But then all of a sudden, you're going to go, oh, I see it. Now I see it. And I'm beginning.
Linda.
Yeah.
That's Rebecca. Is that Rebecca?
Oh, sorry. Sorry to interrupt. I was trying to ask Ray if I can talk without the video, just so I can get a better internet speed. My internet's so slow.
Yeah,
but I really wanted to.
Yeah.
Now I can.
You've been through a lot.
It's so choppy.
Rebecca, you've been through a lot of uncertainty. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say the way Justin and I have kind of found to navigate uncertainty is something we call the flow. And it's kind of like a river, like life is a river, and it's moving along in a flow. And it's a lot like what Linda says, which is like course corrections and going with what feels right. And it seems like when we're on the flow, things kind of fall into place much easier, and there's less resistance, and it can relieve that feeling of uncertainty. So, you know, you're moving along, you're going, and it's like, well, if there's a good flow to things, then you feel less uncertain. I don't know. That's just kind of how we found the way of dealing with it, but it's still always there. So we're always kind of like, we joke between each other and say, you know, we're always looking for the flow.
Yeah, because the only time you get knocked out of the flow is when you start doubting yourself.
Right.
You start looking at how everyone else is living and look at each other and go, you know, you go, oh man, are we getting this right? Are we sure we're okay? That's called doubting your flow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
and then we'll step back and go, are we in the flow? Is this right? Is this coming together easy? should we be, catching that breath and just kind of reconnecting and getting our center and making a decision from that space rather than the panic or the fears and the uncertain space.
Now, Rebecca has this totally right. If you guys are coming from panic and fear and doubt and all the fear-based emotions, then that is not guidance, and you're not in the flow. You just got in the way of it. It's like standing in front of that river and trying to hold it back. Okay, you're never going to beat it. You're just going to get beat up, like what Rebecca was talking about. You know, resisting it will not get you there. You may feel like it's getting you there. You could pretend that it's actually working, that you have the power over this. You can pretend for a while, and then it'll just wear you out and wear you down and beat you down. And you'll still look around you and go, but I'm not like everyone else. What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. The only thing that's wrong is that you're doubting the guidance, the flow, as you're moving through it. You keep looking for a result right now. I want it all now. Okay?
You want to know what it is now.
Right. You keep getting in the way of it with
I don't want to put all that effort into going that direction unless I know there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Payoff.
Right.
Okay? A payoff. And so you keep looking for that because you know what? You've been born and bred on that stuff.
Right.
That's the way you've been raised. That's the way everyone else you know is playing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's this lack of sureness.
Yeah.
You know, it's you have misgivings about the future. Well, I saw somebody else try that, and this is what happened to them.
That's right. So Rebecca, that was excellent. Rebecca, your guides are going to talk to you about how you're doing right now with your flow. You and Justin.
Okay.
Are you up
Okay.
for that? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Here they go.
Rebecca, it is easier for you and Justin to experience the flow now because of what you have done on the spur of the moment in the past. You learned early on how to let go of things, and until you can let go of what's holding you down in place, can you move ahead?
How's she doing? How are they?
That makes a lot of sense.
Hold on, Rebecca. Hold on.
You are doing fine, and nothing seems to surprise you.
That's great to hear. We made some big decisions yesterday. So it was one of those like, okay, we're not quite certain about the future. We got a good idea on this one, and it's just kind of knowing, like you said, knowing who you are and just being brave about making some big decisions and going forward with them.
Okay.
And
Now
it is about like the uprooting thing.
The what?
I mean, just about we're like as of yesterday, we're moving into a bigger building, and we're trying to poise ourselves to grow in the United States. And you guys know about us going to, Europe as well. But it's like, just taking that, just making that decision to, get in that bigger building and be brave about expanding and moving forward, uprooting and taking that risk.
Right.
So just going with it. It's a little scary, but it's like you said, you can't be so stuck in your ways and stuck where you are. It's like you can't grow that way.
So based on what Rebecca just talked about, how well are they following their guidance with respect to this decision?
Very well. You can never have doubts about the future if you do not dwell on the negative aspects of the future.
Yeah, there's always going to be a negative aspect, and you can choose to just focus on that, or choose to focus on the good and just go with it.
There you go. Yeah, there you go, Rebecca. It's, you guys, it's getting more and more challenging these days to find out what that groove is, what that true north is for each one of us. Because just like Rebecca's going through, there are a lot of negativities surrounding that correct decision. There still are. I mean, there's good things going on with that correct decision, but it doesn't mean you won't have challenges to get through. Because the world's filled with this, right? Go ahead, Rebecca.
Yeah, I was saying that. It's much harder to make decisions these days, for sure. It seems like there's a lot more going on around, like you said, the decisions you're making.
Right. So that's why following the guidance, writing the guidance down in your journal and tracking it, so that when you get to that crossroads, that epiphany, that crescendo, that moment where you've got to have the answer, you need the answer. You've been writing it down, right? You've been writing it down all the way along on your yellow brick road. The answer is there. You've got it there. All you have to do is go back. There it is. That's what happened that day, and that's how it felt. And that's what happened that day, and that's how it felt. And you cannot miss. It's there, okay? You've got to write it down. This is your lifeline. This will keep you from veering off and letting fear sneak up on you and pull you over here, okay? No. There is always consequences to the decisions that we make, like what Becca's talking about. There's always consequences. There's always, things that are going to show up that we have to get through that we never expected.
The left field.
You see?
Yep.
That's right. But together, these guys, Becca, her family, they're strong together. They've been through stuff together. They know they can trust each other. They know they'll see, one another through all this, and their kids are with it, and they can do it. All right. So,
I mean, you and Justin, before you had kids, you just picked up and
right,
sold everything you had,
right,
packed it in 12 boxes, and moved to Australia.
I love these guys.
7 months, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know. So these guys, they pretty much did what I did when I left Sedona. They just said, "The heck with all this." They felt that it was time to go, and they went. They really went because they had nothing hanging them up. No kids or anything at the time. So, you just have to be bold about your life. You've got to be finished with being feared into the life that you're living.
Right, that's good.
Yes.
Be feared into the life you're living.
It's just over, it's overdone. And it doesn't mean that there's not things that are going to show up along the way. There will be. But as long as you're following your guidance will, they'll give you guidance on how to handle that, what to do with that. You won't ever be lost, you guys.
What happened to Guided? The faster the merry-go-round started to go, the more fearful people got.
Right.
Until they just couldn't take it anymore, and they let go. Right.
So because out of fear, okay? Right. So you guys, you did not come here to live a fear-filled life. You did not. And that's, this uncertainty, you signed up for this. This is supposed to be fun.
Let the fun begin.
That's the way I look at it. I mean, Ray and I, we've gotten so light on our feet and real with our lives that we just want to be able to do what we're doing, continue to do what we're doing in the way that we're being guided to go and do this, and not have to worry about all the nonsense to complicate things. I mean, the only one that could do that is us. We could complicate the hell out of it, and we're just not buying into it.
I love that example you gave about the mortgage. It's so true. It's like the sacrifices you make your whole life, and then at the end of the road,
the game's changed.
Nothing added up.
Yeah, you know what happens. What's interesting is I've been in real estate all my life. I stopped doing it about 10 years ago, but and I know real estate in and out. I know it from the inside out on every level. And I know that there's no such thing as, you think of your house as your home. That's the first scam, all right? The next one is that someday you'll be able to retire and you won't have to make house payments anymore.
Or you can sell it for all this money.
Yeah. And you know, I can tell you all the downside to it, you guys. There's so much downside to it that, and it's a lie, because by the time you get to that point and you think you can finally breathe and you can live in your house and have your little garden and live your fantasy, there's all kinds of things interrupting that. I mean, so many things interrupting that. And you look at your life and go, you know, did your life work out? Is your marriage still together? Do your kids care about you? Is this what it all, you know, wound up to be? This is it? And you know, your friends, they're, you know, I don't know. There's just so much more to experience than stuff.
Would you rather have stuff or experiences?
Yeah, I mean, so much more, you guys. So they can't take your experiences away. They can't take away what you have become, okay, by having those experiences and not letting people run you around with fear, you know. And you didn't come here to live like that. So the uncertainty, get used to it, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. As soon as you can assign yourself to that and start writing in your journal and dedicate yourself to doing this. Do not stop doing this. You have all the answers that you need whenever you need them. I hear a little puppy drinking water.
Oh, sorry. That's my dog.
Is that Veronica's dog?
Yeah.
How cute is that? Oh, bring your puppy up. What's your little guy?
Ema.
Bring Ema up.
Her name is Emma.
Emma.
Can you see?
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
She's a Boston Terrier.
She's a good girl. How old is she?
She's 7.
7.
Yeah.
Well, she's got a long life ahead of her.
Yeah.
For years ahead.
Those Boston Terriers are pretty smart.
They are.
Yeah, she's a good friend.
So you guys, you see what Becca's talking about. Becca, you know, she's been out on the limb a few times in her life. And so you guys, what do you have to say about this? Come on, Nina. Come on, Ann.
Did you get your microphone working there? No, we can't hear Ann.
We can't hear Ann. Ann, we can't hear you.
I know, her microphone's not working.
Okay. So Nina.
I did go out this weekend because it's been raining so much, and I'm feeling like, God, I can't stand this. So we had a little break, and I went out on Saturday and got on the metro even and went downtown and went down to the waterfront where all the boats are, and they just redid this area, and it was just awesome. Really, a lot of music around, and it was good. Felt good to get out and talk to people, and just felt alive. Okay, so Nina, just kind of opened things up.
Good. Now, here's what your guidance wants you to do. Your guidance wants you to keep doing this.
Yes.
Go out there in one little weekend trip and have a huge result, although it could happen. It could happen, okay? But it's going to happen when you didn't expect it to happen. That's how it's going to happen, Nina. So are you going to keep training yourself to doing these things that are out of the...
I have to. It's a must. It's a must. I could just tell the difference in my energy level and everything, and how good it felt. Just I felt connected.
Yes. That's it. Nina, are you writing it in your journal?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good. You're not going to see the result right away.
It's my job.
Yeah. We live in a world of immediate gratification, and that is the worst thing that any of us could try to reach for, because instead of listening to guidance, our ego takes over and pretends it's the guidance, and we get ourselves in all kinds of trouble. All right. So don't just let it be what it is. Keep writing it in your journal. Keep showing up on those weekends and get away from your routine. Okay. And it's going to show itself, Nina.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Ann, we can't hear you, and I think you can hear us, but the same thing with you, Ann, is just keep moving that way, and it will, what has to happen first is we have to start being present. We have to start breathing. We have to stop panicking and expecting an immediate result, immediate gratification. The whole world is filled with that. And it's the wrong direction, you guys. So just keep following that guidance. And just like Becca knew, and her husband, they just know what to do. And they took the action and they moved on it just recently, just yesterday, right? She said?
Yeah.
And moved on that. And here they go. Here they go. And whatever comes up along the way, they've already talked it over, where they know they've met up with all kinds of things along the way, surprises, that they can deal with it. They're going to be all right.
Yeah, it feels like we're being guided, and so they're not going to steer us in the wrong direction. They're gonna put us in the challenges that are going to come are something we can handle.
That's right, and they make you more than you were before it happened. It's just part of what you came here to learn and achieve.
What's interesting, Becca, is that a lot of the things that you and Justin really wanted to happen or to have, the guides didn't allow you to have them.
Well, it's not that they steered you away.
They steered you away from them.
And you both, you moved into it, you looked into it, but you
got close.
You got a free ride. You got a free ride. You didn't get sucked into it, and you got to experience it. And all these friends that are experiencing this thing that just confused you, no longer confuses you. It doesn't have you anymore.
No, it doesn't. And I wanted to add to what you Nina were saying about going out and connecting and getting out there, and like you were saying, Linda, breaking from your routine. Yeah. I feel too that getting that yawn, getting that breath, feeling that connection has a lot to do with what you guys are talking about. And if you can find places where you feel like you can connect better, or activities you're doing where you feel like you're with the universe, with the flow.
In the moment. In the moment.
Going to the ocean, or riding a bike, or however you can just keep adding that in your life, you're gonna be more away from the fear, and then in more of the moment, and then also open to more guidance.
Now, isn't that just what the child does? Exactly what the child does?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so what Becca described is what we talked about a little bit earlier, you guys. It's the child. Go back to the child. The child was up for everything, okay? The child was in. It was like, try this, do that. Oh, I'll be there. I'm going. The beach, the this, the ride the bike, the go there. Okay, the kid was in, all right? When did we stop being in?
When people told us we couldn't be in.
When all these...
Hello.
Okay, started to happen. Who said?
Hello.
Now, who is this?
Who's that? Who said hello?
Oh, that's me. I'm just testing my microphone. I think I got it to work.
Yeah, we can hear you now, Ann.
Ann.
Okay. I'm not sure what was wrong with it, but I clicked a couple things and here I am.
Great, Ann. Great. You were able to hear all of us though, right, Ann?
Everything, yeah.
Great, Ann. Okay, so Ann, be our guest. What would you like to talk about?
Well, you talked at the very beginning about people who are judgmental, and that's what I'm working on right now. Anytime I catch myself making a critical judgment of somebody and not processing negative thoughts about people, if I have to think about somebody and a negative impulse comes to me, I work on canceling it and trying to think something loving toward them.
Yeah.
Even if, you're watching TV or you see somebody's comment on Facebook or these ongoing things on the news, and you just want to have an opinion about it. But I'm really working at not forming those opinions.
Now remember, Ann, what I said. I said there's the judgment, and then there's the discernment.
Right.
Okay, so if you see someone on TV, let's use that example you used. Tell me when you would make a comment because it was simply a discerning situation. It wasn't judgmental, but it happened to be the truth. Okay. Give me an example of when you could have looked at something and said, "That's just the truth."
Yeah. Well, there was a time when something that I heard on the news about something a politician said, and I know they're all, I hate to say they're all the same, but that's their game, and I can see that now. Okay, so they're working their side of the aisle, and they're going to say whatever they think we need to hear to give them our support. Whether they mean it or not, whether they know what they're talking about or not, whether it came from their own head or was programmed for them by their leadership. And I see that now. And I just feel like, okay, this is like the dance or, you know,
that's discernment.
the play.
That is not, you guys, what Ann just described was beautiful, because that is an example of discerning, as opposed to taking that same situation and going, now that guy's a real jerk. That doesn't help you. That doesn't help you at all. You've got to look at it like it's just information. You see it for what it is. That's what it is. And you just go, okay, I'm going to move past that. I'm going to glide right past that, because I'm not in this world to interact with that. It's just not my thing. And it's not a judgment, it's a discernment. So Anne's got this right. That's exactly right. And we all have to be discerning, because we're not gullible, you know. But judgmental just steps out of bounds. All judgment does, watch this. You've seen the pointer, right? Where somebody points their finger at you. Like this. Look at how many fingers are pointing back. One's pointing out, and there's 3 pointing back at you. So when we do this, when we judge somebody, we do that, we really need to look at ourselves.
Yeah, and that's what you realize. Okay, you're reacting to something you believe you're seeing in somebody else, but in fact, it's in you, and they're mirroring it.
True.
And that's telling you, okay, this is something in me that I'm seeing and I find unattractive. Here's a heads up to say, well, this is something you can work on now, and now's a good time to start.
Okay, and that is perfect. And the reason you need to do it, here's the whole reason you need to work on this, you guys, so you don't slip into the judgment part. Discernment, yes. Judgment, no. Is so that the minute you go into judgment, you sever the connection to your guides. You sever the connection to yourself. When you go into discernment, now you're a thinking, breathing, living, intelligent being. You're more like your guides, because your guides they look at things. Your guides just look at things for what they are. They just see it for what it is, and they know you can handle that. Not only, you don't always want to have to look at that. You know, like with my family, I didn't want to have to look at that. With my daughter, my only child, I didn't want to have to look at that. Okay, but you know what? It is what it is, and that is what it is. I can't change that. It is what it is. So you just look at it for what it is. That's discernment. But you don't go over here and go, well, she's a jerk. She should have never done that. That's judgment. That's her life. She came here to live and work it out. And you know what? She's doing the best she can. She's doing the best.
She's on her path.
What's that?
She's on her path.
Absolutely, Ann. And you know what? I just leave it alone. Let her live it out, because I have no business butting into that. Who am I? You know, I never want to see her hurt. I never want to see anything bad happen to her. But I don't have the right to interfere. Yeah. So that discernment, if we stay like that, we are more like our guides, and we are connected. We are not missing. So that thing about judgment, it only severs our connection to ourself and our guides.
And I've found that now that I'm teaching myself to cancel those judgmental thoughts, as soon as a memory or a flashback to some big mistake or screw up that I had in my life, instead of despairing over it or, feeling a lesser person, I'm actually able to say, I'm not going to judge myself either. I made a mistake. I didn't know any better. I know better now.
Right. That's
And
right.
I had to do that to learn what I now know. And once I applied that logic to myself, it became more routine for me to apply that same compassion to anybody else that I would judge.
That's great. Oh, so Anne, how long have you been practicing this?
Well, I think I started reading a couple books about channeling and people who felt like they were literally channeling Jesus and the Christ thing where he looks at everyone with love. And it dawned on me that, yeah, if it doesn't matter who you encounter, you shouldn't have that welling emotion of I don't like this person, or this person offends me, or whatever it is.
Right.
And that just saps so much energy and health out of you that I realized if you stay in the middle, and you weigh things and you want to project love and be loved, then it doesn't matter how those other people are behaving or what your suspicions are of their motives. You're going to be loving toward them. But I have to say, I find myself being around people less and less because I can't handle the less loving people.
The disconnect. See, what you're talking about, Anne, this is a total connection you're talking about. This is connection. Where when you get around people who are conflicted and they're fighting and everything, this is total separation. Mm-hmm. So it just feels, when you feel connected, when you practice like what Anne's talking about, and you're connected, okay? The minute you bump into some separateness, it's amplified. Mm-hmm. You feel the separateness screaming at you, okay? You turn the TV on and hear these politicians. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, it's like they're blaring at you. Something like that.
Nice sound effect.
I think that must be Becca's children. I think it's probably.
Nope, that wasn't me.
I think that was Nina by the expression.
That was me.
Nina.
So these politicians are like you said, they're all attacking each other, and by the time you get done listening to all their ads, you just think that they're all scumbags. How could you vote for any of them?
Exactly.
Well, I think even worse is there was a time in my life when I was like an avid supporter of certain politicians, and then they turned out to be cads. I mean, John Edwards is the one I, think of the most, and then there have been others that, that, and like Pennsylvania just had this grand jury report about the priests in the Catholic Church, and years of them, being in the pulpit preaching, right. And what were they doing, to our sons?
That really bothers Ray.
Yeah, don't get me started on that one.
Well, see, there's where we have to have compassion for the fact that on the one hand, they did that, but I also realized when I found myself in, I guess, a level of society where it seemed like none of the I want to call them males because I can't bring myself to call them men. None of them had any respect for women. It was just like they took their preferred status for granted. And
You know what's happening, Ann? I'm going to just interrupt a minute. What's happening is it's disclosure.
right.
You guys understand this? What this disclosure thing is? It's disclosure on every front.
All levels.
It's like the tide goes out, and that's when you see the people who aren't wearing clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going on right now. Is it's disclosure, and we're just beginning to see the things that have been going on that have been under the hood, right?
Mm-hmm.
For
Centuries.
for centuries, right?
Yeah.
For centuries, all right. And so it's something that humanity is finally going to be, is finally ready to look this thing in the face. All right?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be hard.
It is.
It's going to be hard for when everybody is exposed out in the open, what's been going on for decades and centuries. Once that gets exposed, it's going to be very, very hard for the average person to believe that could even happen.
And that they were,
that they did this to us.
And they
that,
went along with it.
yep, and that we were pulled down that road and
Mhm.
in unhealthy ways. And we raised our children in unhealthy ways, believing that, you
Right.
know, and it's going to be, there's going to be a point where it's like a revolt, where people are going to go, that's enough. No more. You're not doing this anymore. And people are going to see the power they really have as citizens, you know, and that's what's going to happen from it. It's going to be a revolt, and it's time. I mean, every now and then there has to be a correction, a serious, you know, course correction for our governments or our countries and the world.
The people who run the world,
Right.
the real people who run
Right.
the world, the big corporations. I mean,
They've taken over. And
what's their biggest fear? That we stop buying their stuff.
right. So what do? Where's your power? It's not in the vote. It's in the dollar.
Right.
Okay. So Ray and I, boy, you talk about tough. Okay. We don't buy their stuff. We only get what we have to have to work, to do our work. Other than that,
And to eat.
right. Other than that, to heck with it. We just will not. We will not vote that way, because every time you spend a dollar in that direction, getting pulled into it because of desire, because of gratification, because whatever. We wait. It's like we slap each other and go, "We're not doing this. We're not going to do it."
Don't need that
Because
one.
we see it, and we get the information. We do, a lot of coaching around the world, and people ask questions. I mean, they ask questions and they want to know the answers, and their guides come through and tell them. And I mean, it's disclosure. It's time for us to see it for what it's always been, and go, that's it, no more. And that's another part of this session, with regard to what we're talking about today. You've got to be able to look at what is.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is, but don't let it stop you from living your life. Don't let it stop you from leading the life you intended to live before you got here. You came here to live your life. All this stuff is going on. It's going to go on. It's always going to be going on. So don't let it interfere. And like Ann said about the judgment thing, man, you guys, just whenever you feel that you're doing it, tell on yourself. No one has to see it. Write it in here. Tell you did it, and just go, I just need to clean up my act and clean out the fog in my head and quit going down that road, because it's never served me. We've lived enough years, guys, to know that never served us.
Mm-hmm.
You never have to tell me that.
That I have to tell you what, Ray?
Not to do that again, or again, or again, or again.
Like what, Ray?
Well, anything. All those things I do.
What are they? Like what, honey?
Well, I know. I have my faults. I'm not.
Oh, you mean his little imperfections?
Little imperfections.
Yeah, you never had to tell him.
You know what? Sometimes, here's what I learned about men, you guys. Little men thing. They want you to tell them.
That's right.
They want you to tell them. They want guidance from their women. They need it from their women, because men are more lost than we are. Did you know that?
I knew
Wait,
that.
Because of the stuff they believed, the things they were taught that was as bogus as the things we fell for.
Right. And they really believed it. See, there's something about girls when we were kids. We didn't quite get pulled in as deep as the boys did. The boys went all in, and they believed it with their heart and soul. And they stopped right there. We always kind of had a little reservation about, well, maybe not.
Because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, girls question things. Little boys were more, it's like women can multitask and guys aren't as good at it, right?
Never going to do it, yeah.
Right, that kind of thing. So these guys need the guidance of wise women. That's what they need. And when they can trust the woman they're with, they lean on that. If they're smart, they do.
Yeah, if they're smart. Or if they get kicked around enough by, I don't want to say their guides, but their spiritual path, if they keep going in the wrong direction, they get bounced back into line often enough. Then it finally dawns on them, you know what, I'm going about this wrong.
True.
Maybe I'll have a conversation with somebody.
That's because guys always think they have a better idea, a better plan.
Yeah, well, they think they have to show that. They think that it's expected of them.
It is. That's a big burden. That's a huge burden. And it doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah.
And even with Ray and I, all the years that we've been together, it took Ray a while to really, he loved it when he met me, and how I had this different way of living life than anyone has ever met. But then actually merging with me and living life with me, because I live it differently, it took him a while to really move into it. And I had to let him find his way. I couldn't sit there and go, you know, you're going to do this, dag nabbit. You know, I couldn't do that to him. I wouldn't want to be with him. He wouldn't have what it took to be with me. I would not do that with my partner. You know, he either steps up his game, or we don't have a game. You know, so
I've
he
learned
did.
now.
Oh, you.
I mean,
You have.
I'm getting a visual. I'm getting a visual of him driving the ice cream truck as a summer job, you know, and can't get it in gear. And
now I just live my life. I listen to whatever the voices in Linda's head tell me to do.
Now, that is totally not true. He comes to me and he tells me stuff all the time, and I go, "Oh my God, Ray, tell me about it and tell me how it felt." Don't I?
Right.
Every single time. And every time we pause, we stop our life. We've got this to do, that to do, blah, 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 blah. We stop everything. And I go, "Oh my God, pause time. What did you just say?" And I give him all my, don't I? And we get it. And we look at that. And because what happens.
And we write it down.
Yes.
Or we record it.
Right. And when that happens to Ray, that happens to me. When that happens to me, that happens to Ray. It's one and the same, you know? And he really respects it. What a guy, you know? But I couldn't be with somebody who was, you know, who was still stuck back there. I could not do it, you know? So anyway, you guys, was this a good session or what?
Yeah.
They're all good. Do you guys have anything else you want to add to this before I move on?
I'm good.
Remove all uncertainty from your life. Did we cover everything?
We covered a lot. A lot of stuff to think about.
So let me talk about next week before the guides close the session tonight, all right? Oh, okay, so Tuesday, next week, October 2nd, October already. Watch or interact with us right here on Zoom in Linda's Weekly Guided Insights is where you will receive the link to join us to talk to your guides, to us, and to the group. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, to be published next Tuesday morning in Linda's Weekly Guided Insights. The guides will be talking about spiritually aware people, the silent majority. And what's interesting is they said the spiritually aware people are the silent majority, the majority. Okay? That didn't used to be the case. Why is the silent spiritual majority silent? A silent majority is an unspecified large group of people who do not publicly express their beliefs or thoughts. They keep to themselves and do not show a public image. Does that sound like all of you?
Mm-hmm.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a movement. The guides talk about this being a movement. The movement before this time was the New Age movement. And that was the opposite of this. That was where they were outgoing and they wanted everybody's eye on them, and they wanted to go to these great big group events, and they wanted to be included, and they wanted to dance around and do
and
all
hug
these,
each other
and have ceremonies and rituals and all these, things that they did. Where this movement is completely different. This is it's a private thing. It's something that goes on within you. It's something. What I want to say about this movement is that what makes it different than the New Age movement before it, I think the New Age movement before it needed to happen, so this one could happen. It's an evolution, all right, of where we find ourselves now. And from what we learned about in that New Age movement, went on for about 40 or 50 years, is we learned about ourselves. We learned about listening and people meditating and guidance coming through, and all these different things, and how it's an inside job. It's an inside work that we do. It's within each one of us, okay? The answers are here. They're not out there with some guru we have to go follow, that type of thing.
Yeah, you're not following anybody.
You're not.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what makes this movement so different, and in my opinion, more solid than the New Age movement, because the New Age movement was filled with fanfare and loudness, okay? Where this is an inside job. This is where you really make the connection.
Sounds exciting.
Don't miss it next week. It's going to be good.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so where's our little speller? Did
Well,
we move it underneath here? Did I push it underneath?
you pushed it on. You got a fingernail? There it is.
I saved it, Ray.
Sleight of hand.
Okay. So we're going to do remove all the uncertainty from your life, the closing message from the guides, and here they go.
Are you sure you want to remove all the uncertainty? What if there wasn't any uncertainty about the future? For that job or that relationship, if you knew everything about a job or a relationship ahead of time, would you take that job? Or get into that relationship? What if the uncertainty is what you are supposed to experience? Then why be suspicious of the future when you could be excited about the uncomfortableness?
Think about that. That's interesting. It wouldn't even be fun. It wouldn't be interesting. What's the point, right?
If you knew how everything was going to work out ahead of time.
Yeah, it'd be like, oh, please, take me somewhere else. It's like doing the same thing over and over again. You know it so well, It's just not exciting anymore. Uncertainty it's definitely exciting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So roll with it, you guys. Get on that wave and don't resist it. Get on the top of it. Don't hang back down where you think you're safe. Get on the top of it so you can see everything, okay, going on while you're going through it. Be bold in your life. But also do the things that build your odds, like Anne got into talking about tonight about the judgment. If you have certain things about your personality that keeps holding you back and slowing you down and holding you down, because now you've got all these little nonsense lessons to learn because you're still stuck in all that karmic stuff. No, solve it. Be done with it. Lighten up. Let yourself lift up, all right, and vibrate higher so you can experience all of this uncertainty on the highest possible level.
All right.
That's what we're talking about. All right.
Okay.
Becca, are you still with us?
No, I don't think so.
No, Becca's not.
No.
She has a couple of kids. It was so nice to have her pop in. She's been, this girl's lived it, you guys. We've worked with her for a couple years now. Becca's got it. So, and she loves what we're doing. She loves this group. So we will see you guys next Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Night. Thanks.
Be
Have a
kind to
good
each
week.
other.
Yeah. Don't judge each other. We don't do that. We don't.